Now to our next discussion. Now, inspired federal government's mantra of promoting the ease of doing business, the high cost of doing business, inefficient processes and procedures, and a litany of extortions in Nigerian seaports have made the nation's gateway uncompetitive, resulting to an immense frustration for business operators and huge losses for all stakeholders. Apapa and Tinkan ports, being the busiest in Nigeria, still experience congestion, causing cargoes to remain trapped inside the ports, making evacuation difficult and ultimately affects the ease of doing business initiative in the ports and indeed around the ports environment. Though a number of administrations have introduced reforms at various times over the years, the cost of doing business at the ports, particularly Lagos, still remains so high, and it's so worrisome. Let's get to this discussion, and I'm being joined live in the studio by the National Vice President of the Association of Nigerian Licensed Custom Agents, Mr. Kayode Farrington. Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate your time.
No problem.
Because coming from Apapa to this way, we know what it is. Yes. But let's start with a lot of issues around the ports, and I'm thinking of where to start from.
Maybe we should start from ease of doing business.
Exactly. We've seen Payback and we've seen them going up and doing all of that. What is really happening at the port? Tell us the true state of things.
I keep telling people that there's not like ease of doing business in our seaports. We do not have ease of doing business in our seaports. It's the other way around. Freight forwarders, stakeholders are going through horrendous tasks to get cargoes released, exited from the seaport. I've visited a lot of airports and I realized how federal government is improving, but when it comes to seaports, we have not really achieved anything. Taking us back to the executive directives by the federal government, it was actually enacted, but it was not followed. The various MDGs have their way of doing things in a way, I call it protectionism. This one feels superior while the other one feels superior. So we don't really have what is called ease of doing business in a seaport, and that is very, very bad. A lot of people are actually going through hell to get cargo out of the seaport, particularly freight forwarders.
One thing I noticed about the port is that I think the ports grew and there was no infrastructure to support that growth. They didn't know it was going to be this much. Why are they not thinking of decentralizing?
Yeah, there was infrastructure, but the people that actually had infrastructure never envisaged a situation where Nigerian importation will grow to this level at this point. And unfortunately, there was distortion in the setting up of the seaport. Looking at the Apapa environment, when it was set up, particularly Tinkan Island, Apapa area port, which was a pioneer port, when it was actually set up, federal government never envisaged to have this number of cargo throughput. Now that is increasing, I visited the Holland port. That's what we call port developmental plan. We don't have it. About 10 years ago, when I visited Rotterdam, Rotterdam was already having 2035 port development plan. We don't have it here. And unfortunately, we have policy somersault. Everybody is to attend Israel. There is no direction. There's no agency that can give direction. And we have a Ministry of Transportation that is too big, too large for its size. And unfortunately, we also have a customs that is not professionally oriented. Unfortunately, it has been politicized.
Politicized.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this 15% levy on imported vehicles, which I see that is one topical thing. Everybody, what is the update with regards to this?
The update is very bad, and I just catch it as if we're in the era of trade terrorism. That is the only language I can use. We have a government of the day that is not sensitive to the plight of the masses. Let us look at it. The issue of the levy is an act of National Assembly, which was actually done to protect local assemblers for newly built vehicles, not used vehicles. And when it was implemented, it was supposed to be, 5%.
Okay.
But now, government in a magnanimity think that because we are now migrating to ECOWAS, which is a new tariff, and makes it 3 degrees. If it's a raw material, it must be 5% rate of duty. If it is semi-finished product, it must be 10%. And if it is vehicles, it must be 20%. So federal government is looking for an avenue to continue to generate revenue in all ramifications. So the only thing they can do is to bring out this levy. Initially, they call it 15%. NAC levy. When we challenge it that it is not what the law says, they now said it is still 15% levy on used vehicle. The question now goes, are we producing used vehicle in Nigeria? The levy is supposed to be for anything that you are producing. That's what we call import adjustment tax, IAT, under the ECOWAS tariff regime. If you are maybe any products that you are producing in Nigeria and they are importing it, and you want to protect the local manufacturers or local assemblers, then you now slam tax regime on it. But on used vehicles, which is for the common man, we are expecting federal government to be very sensitive in view of the fact that the policy is even not very clear. Some are even saying it is 12% import, it must be 12 years. Some people are saying it is 15 years. So there are issues here and there, and unfortunately, now that this 15% has been slammed on Nigerian importers, we have a situation where the final consumer, which is the common man, will suffer for it.
That is always what happens at the end of the day. It falls back to the consumers. I also see, as a business reporter, I also see that the central bank is so very much intervening in cargo clearance. And what does this mean for trade?
What it means is that we have a government that is very confused. There are two policies. We have fiscal policies, we have monetary policies. The central bank is supposed to be saddled with monetary policies. But a situation where central bank now is encroaching in the area of fiscal policies, we have too many interventions here and there. As I talk to you now, we have over 20-something commodity on import restrictions. And these commodities are not under import, prohibition. So we have a situation where when the importers want to bring in this consignment, they are the masses of the commercial banks. Because whether you like it or not, for you to bring in any consignment, you must open your FOMEM. And the commercial bank will now tell you that you need a clearance from CBN. And the only man that does that approval is the CBN governor. And we have shouted on several occasions that government should separate the fiscal policies from the monetary policy. But up till now, nothing has been done. In fact, as of last 2 months, we are at the National Assembly because we had a situation where CBN was already introducing a product price verification mechanism, trying to even encroach on the role of Nigerian Customs Service. So I look at the government of the day, I see there's confusion in the air, the policy formulators are confused, and the stakeholders are not carried along. And it's very, very unfortunate. Nothing seems to be done about it.
Is it an issue of them wanting to just generate revenue and ignore those in that business? Because if those people in business are out of business, how then do you make more money from that space?
What CBN is trying to do is to protect the naira. And there are things the CBN will have done instead of going and encroaching on somebody else's responsibility. The first question I keep asking CBN is that there are people that normally take forex from CBN on a weekly basis. Publish the name of those that have actually taken forex from CBN from January up to date. Those that have utilized it, let us know it. Those that have not utilized it, let us know. Let Nigerians even know that so-so XYZ company has taken $200,000 and for importation and has not been imported. But CBN is deliberately covering that area, now encroaching on how to stiffen naira so that whether we like it or not, because knowing fully well that FOMEM opening is a prerequisite when it comes to importation. So whether you like it or not, you must just go through them. And it's very, very unfortunate that everything is still full. Nigerian importers now they are confused. There's confusion in the air. Nobody seems to know what is really happening in our industry. And that's why I'd say we don't have ease of doing business in Seaports.
Let me ask what this means for your kind of business when you have this kind of confusion one way or the other, when everybody comes up with different policies.
It's very obvious that the economy my prediction is that before the end of the second quarter of 2022, if care is not taken, Nigeria economy will enter into recession. In my elementary economic, because I look at it that Nigeria economy is import dependent. We are not producing anything. Even toothpick, rubber band, we're importing into Nigeria. So, and unfortunately, you have stiffened naira. And the various importers who are even scouting for naira in the open market, or what do I call it, black market, and succeeded in importing, you are frustrating them from clearing this cargo from the seaport. So what we now have is a situation where some importers have decided, let us watch and look, we will not import. The ones that have their goods coming on board, it's okay. By the time we clear this one that is coming, we'll we'll hold our naira and see what government is actually trying to do. And so that is why we're very soon, naira will be very, very weakened, and whether you like it or not, it's going to tell on the economy of this country. And the spiral effect of it, particularly this 15% on levy on used vehicle, is not going to be good for anybody. The younger youth who are actually into Uber, assisting themselves to make sure that they are self-reliant, may not even be able to afford these vehicles in the next 1 or 2 months. It's very, very bad.
So already does it mean that because we all get feelers that the price of vehicles already almost on the high side?
Of course it is. It is because you now have a situation where in line with the fact that Nigeria Customs Service is now saying that we want to implement the federal government policy on 12 years on vehicle, meaning that the least vehicle that can be allowed legitimately is 2013. So if you are bringing a vehicle lesser than that, you should be ready to pay 2030 duty. And look at the Uber you are having in all these ones that have been using for Uber. Is it that 2007, 2008, or 2009? Even my personal vehicle is 2009, and I know how much it cost me to get it. It's still on loan. Now, I've been working in the industry for the past 2 decades. So you can imagine those younger ones that are coming into the... And that's why I look at it, government looking at youth restiveness, how do we solve it? One of the problems, one of the solutions to this is for government to be a listening one. Remove this 15% levy on vehicle. It will have its positive and multiplier effect on the economy of Nigeria, because the youth ones, the various youth who are in the society will engage themselves, whether to engage on Uber or to call what is called that one of both, and make sure that they are useful for themselves and for their family, and not even taken to drugs. But government is not listening, and that's very bad.
I want to ask you this question. You look a little bit elementary, but I got, when they saw that you're going to be on the show, we showed it, and people asked this question. Why do we have that challenge moving a truck? Some people say, what it costs you to move a truck from abroad, or maybe from like China to Nigeria? What will you move a truck from the port here to somewhere even in Lagos, or maybe on the island or Lekki, is almost higher than that.
Yeah, it is.
What is responsible for this
you
disparity?
see, like I told you that a government must always have what's called port developmental plan. We should be thinking in the next 20 years, our ports are congested, they are overstressed. Let us look at Badagry, let us look at Ekpe, where we can, now have a newer port, looking at the fact that very soon importation is increasing, is on the other side. We have a situation where infrastructures are dilapidated. We have a situation where the ports are overstressed. We have a situation where there's not what we call interconnectivity or transport modal system. Everything that leads to the port, whether you are going as export or you are leaving as import, 90% of the goods are through the roads. Unfortunately, the rail system that is supposed to complement the effort of the road is not functional. So what do you expect? And the badges that are supposed to also complement the effort of the rail system is being politicized. As I talk to you now, Nigerian Port Authority is insisting that for you to operate a badge on our waterways, you must bring not an insurance board now, but you must deposit over 500 million naira. So these are the things that is stifling the economy of this country. We need a kind of a town hall meeting where everybody in the stakeholders in the maritime industry will look at are we going to continue like this in the interest of this country?
So let's talk about, so we hear about some other ports that are trying to, the Warri, the Port Harcourt, and other. Can't we decentralize?
Yes, we can decentralize. In fact, I remember about a few months ago, Nigerian Port Authority is even trying to encourage people to make sure they take their cargoes to Eastern ports. But you look at the fact that Lagos is always Lagos. In view of the fact that the market is centralized within West Coast. So people want always their cargo to move to where they are going to sell the market easily. And that's one of the challenges they have. And also, if you want to move your cargo to the Eastern port, what about the various security challenges? This must be put in place. And so you have a situation where you want to lead a batch now, maybe a vessel batch, and I always say you now want to put it on a batch, and as they are going, the militants, the security, our navies have not even done well. They have not done well. They've just been ceremonial. The master has failed in our responsibility. We have a lot of things. We need total overhaul of the maritime industry for the economy of this country to move forward. And unfortunately, do you know that if this industry is well harnessed, Nigerian government will make a lot of money through the industry.
But stakeholders like you need to have talks.
We'll be shouting. Nobody cares to listen. Look at the issue of vehicle alone. Where I've led delegation to National Assembly on 2 occasions. I made the committee on custom to tell them that looking at this policy, we kill the economy of this country. You have to realize the fact that consider the plight of the masses. A government that will not ameliorate the suffering of the masses is not a good government. We've said all these things. We've presented paper. Nobody cares to listen. But what we now do as institution is that come 2023, for us to endorse any candidate, then that candidate, not in political affiliation now, we want to know what do you have for the maritime industry. And these are the things we're expecting you to give us in the maritime industry. Can you give it to us? Good. If you're ready to give it to us, the whole freight forwarders, we're ready to give you about more than 5 million votes. And that's the truth.
Great. I like that. That's the truth. Policies. Let's know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
How are you going to address security? Please. How are you going to address the economy? Yeah. How are you going to address all of these challenges? The ports, the maritime industry, because that is really a gold mine that is not yet well tapped. What about automation? Almost wrapping up now. Do you think that automation can also help? Because some say automation also has its positives and its negatives. Do you think that can also help address some of these issues?
Yeah, it can help us. We have just graduated into VIM valuation now, and a lot of people are saying we don't need VIM valuation. I say we do need VIM valuation. We cannot continue to have interface with officers. I should be in the comfort of my office and do my declaration.
Yeah.
If I declare as at what I have, then the system should automatically release my cargo. We need automation. But if we need automation, we need indigenous engineers to carry us on automation. I don't believe in this kind of federal government automation where you are bringing in Chinese, giving them over $3 billion, saying give them contract because you want to automate our maritime industry. It is not good for our economy. It is not good in line with Local Content Act.
Yes.
And we have enough credible in Nigerian engineers who are capable of giving us very good software for our weather. Not bringing in Chintonchan, something that you still need to configure. So we need automation. For any industry, for any economy to move, automation is good, even though it's at its disadvantage. And the disadvantage is that for people who believe that this is the way of it, you have to start changing your thinking, because automation will relieve a lot of people of their role. And that is why I said, where do I fix in now when automation is completely done? So we need automation to move forward.
So wrapping up now, you already said that we might go into recession with your elementary economy.
Yes, my elementary promise.
We need to have 2 or 3 consecutive sessions of negative before we could get to that. Yeah. But what is your outlook for the entire trade and, even Ukraine crisis and all that? We know what all of this means. So what should Nigerians be looking at as we move on with your sector?
Well, except we will change our thinking. If we don't change our thinking, the future is very bleak. We need a government of the people that will put the plight of the masses into consideration. We need a government of the people that will look at the fact that we now have high preponderance number of youths who have taken to drug, which is not too good at all. It is getting to a level now where you are driving on the highway, people will pull you out from your vehicle because of the level of the fact that there's no job, and some people are stupendously rich in the same society where we are. So we should start thinking of changing our thinking, our orientation, and above all, there must be attitudinal change.
It's been a very illuminating and interesting conversation with you, I must say. We hope to have you again on the show. Hopefully things would have improved by then. Vice President of the Association of Nigerian Licensed Custom Agents there, Mr. Kayode Farito. So you heard it from him, very passionate about activities at the Nigerian ports and what's been happening there all the while. Thank you so much again for your time on Business Nigeria. We really appreciate it. All right then. Well, let's take a break. And when we return, the market is positive today. We'll look at the figures from the Exchange Limited. Don't go away to Business Nigeria.